Hey man, say man, who you know king of the classics like Space Jam? What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Rob, back at it one more time with another banger. Hey yo, Elvis in the black community, the echo never dies. Y'all been heavily requesting this. Y'all wanted me to read up and learn about Elvis because a couple of the songs I was just a little, I don't know. I just didn't know how. I was uncomfortable by some of the songs. I don't know how to explain it. So we about to wise up, see what Elvis was really about. If you rock with your boy, hit that subscribe, hit that like, because it's free to show love. And let me know your top 10 Elvis tracks. Let's make it 5. But if you won't, give me your top 10. Let's get straight to it. Yiddy.
I thought he was a very beautiful, and still is, a very beautiful person, and his memory shall probably forever live on.
Well, you ain't nothing but a rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine.
There is no room in this city for the vulgar performances of Elvis Presley.
It's shocking. I watched him gyrate his legs and swivel his hips. And our parent-teachers group feels he should not be on television.
We've set up a 20-man committee to do away with this vulgar, animalistic, nigger rock and roll bop. Our committee will check with the restaurant owners and the cafes to see what Presley records is on their machines, and then ask them to do away with them.
You've learned anything from the criticism leveled at you?
No, I haven't.
You haven't, huh?
Because I don't feel that I'm doing anything wrong.
Oh, that's how
You ain't
felt.
nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time.
Rock and roll has got to go. And go it does at KWK. We're all through playing rock and roll records. This week is record-breaking week here at KWK. And after this week, no more rock and roll will be played on the air.
The obscenity and vulgarity of the rock and roll music is obviously a means by which the white man and his children can be driven to the level with a nigger. It is obviously nigger music.
Everybody mostly turned him down. And because first thing, he had Negroes' ways. This is what they didn't really at that time. They didn't want to accept.
Mostly by black performers, and he, in essence, because of at that particular time the kind of backwards mental capability that many people had as judging a person because of the color of their skin is somewhat still does exist, but back then it was worse. And he actually, because of him being a Caucasian brother, he was able to do away with that whole thing.
He's 77-year-old Early Wright, a disc jockey at radio station WROX in Clarksdale for 45 years.
Hi there. Pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How do you do? This is your soul man to be with you until it gets through. I want you to stand by. Don't have no fear. Following Jay's show, should I play one like this one from out of here?
Okay.
Elvis Presley.
Elvis's songs still get good play on Wright's program among the blues, gospel, and jazz recordings that are its staples. It was almost 40 years ago when Elvis drove down to Clarksdale from Memphis with a record and asked him to play it.
And I had been playing his record, and I had never seen him before, and I was amazed to see him. When he introduced himself to being Elvis Presley, then I went all to pieces over him. Then he and I started talking. I used to be the manager of a gospel group called the 4-Star Quartet. And I could listen to a man sing a hymn. I could listen to a man sometime talk. I did that. And I could pick him out whether he could fit in my group. And talking to Elvis Presley, I could see a great future in him.
It's no accident that Wright recognized Elvis's strong gospel roots. Here at the East Trade Baptist Church in Memphis, older members of the congregation remember Elvis joining in with the choir while in high school. These were rousing sessions led by the charismatic pastor, the Reverend W. Herbert Brewster,
like most black people in the South, into whose throat God has pressed down a harp of 1,000 strings, it only needed tuning. Elvis's voice was that type of voice that agreed with the thought of Calvary. He had that kind of bent and inclination and attitude that suggested that God could use him. I gave the music a different approach, a new beat. I knew that it wasn't going to hurt if I said, "Must Jesus bear the cross alone," whether I've said with one beat, two beat, whether I've said it high or low. And I told them, "Come on in here and put your stuff together." They came in here, and it was a glorious experience, and Elvis was in that group.
Elvis came out with a style of his own, and it was very creative. And once he got into it, and you got that feel, Elvis just took off like a late freight. And with Elvis doing this kind of music, gave an injection to black music that no other artist had ever done.
It was like an earthquake in my neighborhood. The whole place was shaking when he came on. And I said, how did a person possess that kind of power? That it even comes off the TV and grab me in this ghetto neighborhood.
Elvis took my Tutti Frutti, and I was very disgusted. But by him singing it, he really made it bigger and made me bigger.
During those days, if it was a white artist doing something, they would just say, they don't like our blacks and we don't like them either. He's nothing but a copycat. But Elvis Presley, when he came on, chicks was screaming and going crazy, and it was like any other neighborhood. And I said, this guy's got something going, man.
Elvis had something that made him sound like he truly meant it, and that's what made a lot of people like myself like him.
I think Elvis had lots of soul. He appealed to black people. He definitely had to have soul in order to do that.
I think there's ever been an artist that when his name went on the marquee, they knew he was coming. People came from all over the world. I never heard of that.
Elvis did a lot of stuff that, you know, rappers do these days.
He had the bling. You gotta have the bling when you're from Memphis.
He had the bling, you know, he had a Cadillac, you know, he had like a gangster in him. As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto.
The song also resonates with people who've only met Elvis through his songs.
Elvis talking about the hood, you know, he's talking about where we come from.
Paul Beauregard and Jordan Houston are the Oscar-winning rap duo 3 6 Mafia. They grew up just 2 blocks from Graceland in one of Memphis's poorest neighborhoods.
I want a CD scratcher.
My mom used to always listen to this song when I was young. He talked about, you know, things that she went through. You know, she had like, you know, my mom had a bunch of kids, like 9 kids. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get somebody to listen to your song. You talk about what they know about and what they want to hear. And she know about ghetto because, you know, she lived in ghetto.
In the ghetto.
That's one of my favorite rappers.
But if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto.
After we find the part on the record that we want to use, we sample it into the drum machine or the keyboard. That way we can loop it like.
My first line says, first I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. It's still broke, so I'm sleeping on apartment floors. So it's just like the struggle, you know, what's going on in the hood. First I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. It's still broke, so I'm sleeping on apartment floors. And I was off beat, but it's all good, because it's on TV. maybe do some edits, make me look cool, maybe put my name in the credits.
It's really...
Once we have all that ready, you know, we load it into the drum machine and then pay out.
So he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal, and he learns how to fight in the ghetto.
Survival is an everyday task, watching your back for the man wearing the mask. I say you might get stuck if you in the hood looking like you came up. We ride old school whips, high off the ground, right beside a player hill. It ain't bad as it seems, we still stay fly, looking so clean.
First I'm broke, so I hang
hang out with the rat and roach, and still broke, cause I'm sleeping on apartment floors. The junkies get up, kick, when they smoke a brick. I never seen a drug dealer ever call it quits. The hood struggle is to make it, gotta get the change. See, every day is like a dark cloud full of rain. The feds tapping for what's dangerous when you hood trapping. So don't get lost in the sauce,
I know they ain't put Elvis like that. Hold up. That joint tough.
So help your brother along the way.
Never heard that part of this song.
No matter where he starts. But the same God that made you made him too. These men with broken hearts.
During the 60s and early 70s, when tensions between blacks and whites were at an all-time high, Elvis demonstrated his desire for racial reconciliation in the musicians that he chose and the treatment they received.
That's all about perception. It's all about perspective.
When we first decided to take the gig with Elvis, we had no idea that there would be any racial flack regarding it. Our first racial encounter was when we went to Texas. Elvis was told by his people that, well, you can leave the black girls home. You don't have to bring them. So Elvis wasn't going to do the Astrodome unless his girls could be with him. And he demanded that we be given the star treatment.
Hello.
We had to be in our convertible where everybody could see us. And our little blonde could drive us. And that was his statement. You don't like it? Deal with it, or I'm not going to be there. And I thought that was very big of him.
When I joined the group in 1972, they took a big chance because there were no blacks in contemporary or Southern gospel music, and I was the first one, and it made all the headlines and everything. It was in Billboard and all the newspapers in Tennessee. And my first time meeting Elvis was, he had a folder full of clippings of things that he had read about me. As a matter of fact, the Imperials brought me to his suite, and he gave me this folder with all the clippings, and he personally welcomed me into the family. And for a guy who, you know, didn't really know where he stood, this was very important that he acknowledged my presence and, you know, made me feel very much a part of what we were all doing. And right away, he treated me like he'd known me for years. He gave me one of those TCB chains and everything, and I was just one of the guys, and I never forgot that.
And I'd been around him with other people of color, and I've only seen him give love. He was very generous to people that he didn't even know. You didn't have to be of any racial persuasion for him to love you.
And you know, you know how rumors get started when there's a big star or something. The people will start rumors. Well, he doesn't like this kind of people, or he doesn't like those people or that people. And I never got that from him.
But you know, Elvis is a whole nother thing. It's just, I think it's scary to even be compared to people in that, like, you know what I mean? Because he's such a big talent, and in his absence, of course he's bigger than in his presence. And music marks time, so in this time period, what Elvis was to his period would be something totally different. Well, I think rock and roll, I mean, what he brought to Vegas is more than rock and roll. I mean, I think it's just so much going on out here on the entertainment front. Like right now, you'll see the likes of Celine Dion and Tony Braxton. It's a lot going out here. You know what I mean? As far as rock and roll is concerned, it's great. I mean, Elvis Presley was able to do things that haven't been able to be duplicated to this day.
This is crazy to see this now.
Black American music influenced Elvis. The fact that people say, well, he's the king of it all, king of rock and roll, is a slap in the face to those that made the music possible in the first place. Not to say he wasn't brilliant. I think he was a fantastic talented singer.
I don't think he ripped them off. I think once something has been exposed, anyone can add or take from it if they like. He was just so great, so popular, so hot, so anything that he played, it became a hit. To me, they didn't make a mistake when they called him the king.
only thing I want to know, was he my friend? Did I enjoy him as a performer? Did he give the world of entertainment something? Yes, on all counts. And that's the name of that tune.
He was a bundle of energy set to music. And that echo will never die.
Wow. It's crazy to see that. They say knowledge is power, so actually seeing this documentary and kind of getting a peek of back in the day and like the situations and what Elvis had to deal with to say the things he said and to do the things he did. I understand that it's two sides to the puzzle. You know, when I was listening, I was like, okay, it made me uncomfortable because of, you know, my side, how I've been raised, the things I've gone through dealing with racism. And, you know, it was just my opinion. You feel me? But after watching that, it's like, it's all about your perspective. And if and getting that knowledge and seeing that Elvis was going through a lot of the same things that musicians that look like me went through when they started doing, just regular stuff now. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting. Like, racism was fully in effect. So I guess me not being there, you know, there was always an element of racism towards black people, you know? So it's crazy that I never knew that he got that same treatment for the way he moved. Like, I don't know who invented rock and roll and the moves and all that, but just the fact that he did it and put it on a larger platform made him susceptible to that judgment, you know? It was like, I can't imagine the scrutiny that a black man would have went through if they went through that same thing. But the fact that he did it and they compared him to black people for even attempting to do what they were doing at the time, there was a lot of scrutiny I just saw. And the fact he stood up for his backup singers, and on top of that, just continuing to do that and take the world by storm, I can understand the wave that he started. So at the beginning, when he's young, when he's wild, and they're talking about gyrating and comparing them to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand now. And me listening to that In the Ghetto track without that context, I felt, you know, I was just like, this is kind of weird. But like I said, it's my opinion. But first takeaway is, wow, it's crazy that life was like that. It's a lot of racism going on now, but the fact that you could talk like that on the TV, I can't imagine. It just made me thankful for the people who didn't risk their life for freedom and equality. You know, it makes me want to learn more just about the plight of Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday just passed, R.I.P. Malcolm X, you know, Elijah Muhammad, like those type of people, and everybody who fought from slave times until now. It just kind of tripped me out. But I just can't imagine watching TV and cutting on TV and hearing that talked about. Like, I can't imagine raising kids that look like me when if they turn on their TV, that's all they see. Like, dolls weren't their colors. Like, that just tripped me out. So I feel like Elvis really brought it to the forefront, because they wouldn't have even gave us no attention. Like, they wouldn't have even gave us the time of day. They wouldn't have even allowed us to get our music off. You know, yeah, Elvis might have got the inspiration from over here, but he's normalizing that. You feel me? And like, that's powerful, because ain't no telling how long, if we didn't have somebody to, you know, shift and start doing those moves and start singing and dancing and doing the swag from the you know, doing the swag from our side. Who knows when it would have ever been accepted, you know? So in a way, he paved the way, because if we would have did that, if he wouldn't have been able to get that sign of approval to get us through the door, man, ain't no telling how much longer it would have been. It was so many talented musicians doing that. But the fact they was black, it was like, damn, that's crazy, man. Different times. Racism is still alive. Discrimination is still alive. I'm all for unity, man. I don't never look down on nobody. I want to know the type of person you are, and in this situation, hearing more about Elvis is, you know, it makes more sense of what he was doing. So I ain't gonna take too much of y'all time. Y'all know me. I'm a thinker, so I had to make sure my thoughts was right. And yeah, man, he paved the way. He paved the way, and that's important, man. That's important. But I think what I'm taking away from that is like, man, I want to make sure if I had kids or, you know, the next generation know that we powerful, you know. All of us, man. All creeds and colors, we powerful, yo. You know? Trendsetting. We make moves like, we just powerful. You could do whatever you set your mind to. Let me stop ranting. That's my point. You could do whatever you set your mind to. That's my takeaway. And I just want to shout out everybody who fought for equality, fought for freedom, and made it possible for us to do us. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Elvis, and shout out to y'all for watching, man. I hope this made sense. It was a little rant, but really appreciate y'all. We're gonna get some more. We're gonna get some more reactions. So make sure y'all subscribe, like, you know, let me know what to react next from Elvis. I think If I Could Dream, I think that's the next one. So make sure y'all subscribe, turn them notifications on, and I'll see you on the next video, man. Shout out my day ones. Love y'all, man. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Ryan. We out. Yeety.
Baby, I'm too authentic. I love leaving my soul on the page, controlling my rage, escaping the maze, controlling the pain of a nigga that been waiting to sell out show since 16. Shit that's like haunted, no, not again. Too paranoid, I don't really need a friend. Too anxious, man, I can't even pretend. Only time I'm not shaking is when I'm on stage, they bobbing their head.